Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey, ¿qué onda? ¿Cómo estás?
Ej, bok nona, ja sam. Šta ima doma?
Hi, Summer. This is Eric calling you.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been a while. I can't believe I've been here for a full semester already.
Obožavam ovaj grad i ljude u ovom gradu i fakultet i stvarno se osjećam kao da sam kod kuće. Questo posto mi ha letteralmente accolta nel modo più familiare possibile.
A veces un poco difícil porque hay que escribir varios ensayos, pero los maestros, la neta, son súper buena onda.
Non, c'est fou, il y a tellement de choses à faire, je suis pas habitué à autant d'options. لسه مش بتكلم هولندي كويس بس كل الناس بتتعامل بالإنجليزي.
You know what they say, work hard, play hard.
تعرفت على ناس كتير من جنسيات مختلفة.
Sono fiera di dirti però che sono me stessa.
Te extraño un montón y espero que me puedas visitar pronto.
Jako mi falite i podragajte mog kolina za mene.
Okay, welcome everyone to this webinar from the VU Amsterdam about the study of philosophy, politics, and economics, PPE in short. You will hear about this study, this bachelor programs in the next 45 minutes or so. But before we go over to the presenters that we have lined up for you, I would like to briefly explain to you how this works. So my name is Luc Mulling, I'm the moderator of today, and basically, well, we have different ways of interacting with you. So you can also interact with us. So you have different things. First of all, most importantly, the questions. If you have any questions, you can write them at the right top. There you can write your question and we will be dealing with the questions at the end. So this is of course for our live audience. However, if you are watching the recording, you can still write your questions. We cannot answer them live, but they will be sent over through the staff of the VU Amsterdam and they will be able to come back to you probably by email. What else do we have? We also have the option to, well, we have pollings next to the questions as well. So we will be asking a couple of questions to you. There's already one that is open, so you can fill it out when you are ready. But also we have emoticons. So we have the option to give you a thumbs up, for example. I see some already found that button at the bottom, great. So that's at the bottom. Just give us some feedback just to see how we do and to make it fun and interactive as well. Okay, now without further ado, let's start with the presentation. We're going over to the first presenter, and Phil, that is Phil, he will introduce himself and we'll start with the presentation. All right, go ahead, Phil. Phil is on mute. Can you mute yourself? Unmute yourself, Phil. Okay, Phil, let me know, otherwise by chat, and we can.
Maybe we can start the PPE video and then Phil can continue.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that. So we start off with a little video to see how it is about PPE and typical with a student telling her story. So let's have a look at that. We'll be back in a minute.
It's easy to get sort of get lost in the privileges you have. At the age of 15, I went on exchange to Argentina. That instability and that inequality, that has really left an impression on me. When I looked at conventional programs, I always felt like something was missing. And with PPE, you have this interdisciplinary mindset. You are open to other ideas. Questions of migration, moral responsibilities. Is the government responsible for that? Am I responsible for that? Inequality often plays a great role in the economy, but as well in the political field. Ppe has challenged me to dive more deeper into my core values. What do I think is right? My name is Marlene Tröstl, and I'm doing a bachelor's in philosophy, politics and economics at Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam.
All right. There you had an idea from a student. We will check back in with Phil. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Over to Amsterdam. Yes.
Am I audible now?
There you are.
Okay.
Yes, there you.
My apologies for the technical difficulties. Yes, my name is Phil Robichaud. I'm one of the co-coordinators of the Ppe program at the VU, together with one of my other colleagues who will be presenting as well, Dr. Ozan Terzi. We really just want to welcome you to this webinar. It's a real, actually, pleasure and indeed an honor to be able to tell you about our program, which we all here just totally love. We love talking about it and sharing it, and we look forward to any questions you might have. That'll help you kind of make a decision about whether to join us. But we have a presentation, and I would like to, let's see. Yes. I don't know which, so I think my browser is showing one of the later slides. Is there a way to move to the first slide?
This is the first slide, this is the second slide, and this is the third slide.
Yeah.
After the video.
Okay. Okay, cool. So so this is oh yeah, my apologies. Yeah, this is my browser has really been doing some really funny things, and but let me just tell you just some general things about Ppe at the VU. So our program is we used to be able to say it's a new program. Now it's been around for it's in its 6th year of existence. We started in September 2016. And we started actually as one of the very first Ppe programs on the continent of Europe. Ppe has a long and established history in the UK and also in the US. But here the Ppe program at the VU was really a kind of flagship program, not just here at the university, but also in Europe. Our program has a special feature. This thing, it's called a small scale and intensive education. That sounds very generic, but these terms actually have a very precise meaning in the educational context in the Netherlands. Small scale just means that a lot of the contact hours that you get, your educational experience, won't be one in which you're just like a number in this massive program. You will have many of your contact hours will be in small groups. Your educational experience will be, such that you don't that you really kind of feel part of a small and vibrant community. And it's intensive, and that just means that the total number of contact hours that you'll have in our program are high, right? So in some programs, you go to a couple of lectures and maybe you have a work group. But with us, as we'll get into later, you have a quite intense, in a good way, educational experience. Related to that, the small scale and intensive work groups that we have, seminar groups that we have associated with our courses, are super interactive. The program is also highly international, right? So both in terms of the student body, right? So our students are usually we're right around 50% international students, 50% Dutch students, but also just in terms of the perspective that we have in the courses. So the courses are, if you take a politics course, if you take a philosophy course, you're not just focusing on what's going on in one country or even one region of the world. So our perspective that we take is a kind of a global and international one. The program is also highly interdisciplinary. And what that means is just that, you can imagine a PPE program which is structured like this. You just kind of take some courses in each of the three disciplines, philosophy, politics, and economics, but there's no real effort made to integrate those, where you're kind of like responsible for putting it all together. In our case, the interdisciplinarity is really built into the program, something that as I go through a brief overview of the Ppe educational program, I'll kind of highlight those places where the program takes on a truly interdisciplinary character. Also special to the VU Ppe program is that we have our own college at the VU. So the college is actually called the John Stuart Mill College. It's in the main building of the VU. We essentially have our own facilities. What you find there is a really kind of an exclusive study area just for PPE students. All of our classes, all of our seminars, everything is kind of held on the same floor in the main building. We've got the Student Association has its offices there, so it's a real. You get a real community feel there at the John Stuart Mill College, which we really love. As I mentioned before, with a small scale, we have a low student to teacher ratio. Another special feature of our program is what goes on in the 5th semester, where we'll hear some more about this a bit later, where we have a study abroad and internship. In the final semester, we've put together this very unique bachelor's thesis trajectory, in which you join this small group with 3 other students under 1 supervisor. And you hear stories of bachelor's theses where you kind of you're really sort of on your own to come up with a topic. Maybe you have a couple of meetings with your thesis supervisor. We at the PPE program, we have come up with a completely other way, a completely alternative way of structuring the thesis, in which you in a very small group have lots of contact hours with your thesis supervisor, both in the small group and individual. And we've seen over the last few years, the quality of theses that are produced by our students is just really remarkable. It's something that we're really proud of. Finally, there's an honors program that we have. If you are a student with us, you can, as we'll go through, that's a quite intense program. There's a lot going on. It's challenging, but if you're really up to even more challenge, you can follow the honors program, which we'll hear more about a bit later. Okay. The next slide. Hello? Is it?
Yes, there you go.
Okay. I think I'll have to, so I can't see it in my,
yes,
I
I
can't
would
see
like
it.
to, yeah, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Aslam.
We're looking at the year 1.
Year 1. Okay, I'll have to open it on my. Well, so I can say a bit just generally about the first year. So when you join us in the first year of the program, you'll be taking courses basically for the entire year with all first-year students. So the first year is, you can think of as a kind of the foundations of PPE. What you'll take is 2 courses in each of the 3 disciplines, and so what you can see in the table that's on the slide is like there in the first semester, you've got your ethics course and a methods course. These methods courses form a kind of background of core analytic courses that give you skills in logic, statistics, mathematics. So you have that methods course there in the first semester, and then you have your first economics and politics courses as well. And then what you see is in the smaller box there down there at the bottom is the first of these interdisciplinary courses that I mentioned at the beginning. They're called Ppe and Practice Courses. And what those do is, the idea is something like, look, you've already, in the semester so far, you've taken 4 courses, 3, one in each discipline plus the methods course, and now you'll come together and bring that kind of interdisciplinary look, bring those tools and your knowledge and understanding of the 3 different disciplines to bear on a topic in that an applied topic in that Ppe and Practice course. In the second semester, you see again 3 courses, 1 in each of the disciplines: history of philosophy, macroeconomic thought, and comparative politics, and another one of the methods courses, this one in statistics. And again, in period 6 there, the smaller box is another, the second of these Ppe and Practice courses, this one focusing on climate change. Again, it's a way, here now you've had basically almost the entirety of your first year in the Foundations of Ppe behind you, and in this interdisciplinary course, you work on and think hard about how to a PPE perspective on climate change. And then there's year 2. So year 2 starts to get cool and interesting. So you get to choose, although we're a philosophy, politics, and economics program, and you've had in the first year, you get the foundations of all 3 disciplines. In the second year, you get to actually choose 2 tracks, 2 of the disciplines to focus on. So let's just imagine that you are really into philosophy and economics. So in your second year, you'll choose what's depicted here as tracks 1 and 2, and take the courses that are indicated there. So in the first semester of the second year, you see the courses are laid out for you. And what's nice about even in the second year, so although you've chosen 2 courses to focus on, 2 tracks to focus on, and maybe some other students chose different tracks, right? Again, you'll come together for the interdisciplinary course in the third period, Ppe and Practice 3, and you'll be kind of all back together to follow another interdisciplinary course. You basically see the same thing occurring in the second semester. You're still following the same 2 tracks. However, in the second semester, there's space for electives. So effectively, in each of the tracks that you're in, you get to choose from 4 different courses, 4 different elective courses, and it's just a way of, the kind of philosophy or the idea behind the second year, and especially with these electives, is that you really get to go more deeply into educating yourself in 2 of the 3 different disciplines. And then you round up year 2 with the Ppe, the 4th interdisciplinary course, Ppe and Practice 4, Connected World, which looks at a PPE perspective on issues with IT and information technology and etc. Okay. And then, so now you've done 2 years, and things get really interesting in the third year. So my colleague, Dr. Terzi, will discuss the first semester of the third year, which is in which you either do study abroad or follow an internship. But that's, so you've been at the John Stuart Mill College for 2 years. Now you go out into the world and do something else. Either you follow some more courses on an exchange program, or you do an internship. And then in your final semester of the program, you come back and you take the final of the interdisciplinary Ppe and Practice courses. And then you get to choose between some policy course and another methods course. And then you conclude the program with the Thesis Trajectory that I mentioned there at the beginning. Again, the Thesis Trajectory is really intended for you to choose a topic that allows you to bring, again, now your complete PPE education to bear in writing a bachelor's thesis. And this is just a fantastic way to, and a really educational for the supervisors as well, way to round off your PPE education at the VU. Okay. And I believe the next slide is for Aslam. Aslam, are you there?
Yes, indeed. Go ahead. Aslam
Yes,
is up
thank
next.
you, Luke. Yes, I hope you can all hear me. I know that, yes, okay,
Yep.
wonderful. I have been having also some connection problems today, so thank you for the information. So, yes, now I would like to talk about what you do in the first semester of third year of your studies. You either go abroad for an exchange or you do an internship. So we'll start with the exchange. You see a brief code. The PPE students have the opportunity to study abroad for a semester through both the PPE only agreements that we have and also through the general agreements that the VU as a whole has. Do we then also have a quote from Julia Michelle here that we will
if you're interested in this specific story, you can read it on our website. So I guess we'll have that pop up again soon. So then you can read more about the experiences.
Okay, so as our students go to study abroad, these, I wonder whether we soon have, yes, the full list, or maybe I would say not the full, but the main crux of the list. So we have universities both in the US and in Australia that you can go to, also in Asia. From Australian National University to Charles University in Prague or to Fudan University. In China, India, Mumbai, but also Rome, possible, Texas A&M. So we have a range of universities that you can go to, and there are procedures, of course, for this. You make a preference list of 3 universities. The applications open the previous winter before you go, so they will open around, I guess, after New Year's here. And then students will give out their preferences to the international office, and then on a ranking of their grade point averages, as well as which universities they want to go to, they come up with a certain list. There are some scholarship opportunities through the VU, but it is good not to fully rely on them, because only about 10% of our students can, I understand, make use of that, and not everyone. But there are opportunities for also supportive funding into that. An alternative is to do an internship, and this needs to be an internship that is done in an organization relevant to your studies at the PPE program. The internship needs a pre-approval from the internship coordinator, who is currently me. And we make sure that this is in line with what you are studying. So this internship needs to be for a full-time work experience, so 40 hours per week, and it is to last for 5 months from September until January. And you are responsible for arranging your own internship. And the previous internships that our students have done are at, for example, some banks, ABN AMRO, for example, one of the most famous Dutch banks, Ernst & Young Consultancy, or other business corporations or consultancies. This can be at political parties. For example, we have students this year doing internships both at Volt Netherlands and Volt Europa. Or for example, at ChristenUnie, it is the Christian Democrat Party of the Netherlands. We have students who are working on think tanks, for example, on political participation, but other subjects are also viable. Or you can work at NGOs. For example, one student that we have this year is working at an NGO that is helping refugees build skills for their employment and such other opportunities. So our students gain a working experience through the internships. Even though we support most of our students to go for study abroad at this period, mainly because this is generally a one-time opportunity in life to do an exchange somewhere abroad, and for a study abroad, a master's program is generally too short to arrange for that. So it is good to arrange for a study abroad during your bachelor's study. If you do your exchange at Europe, within Europe, then there are opportunities within the Erasmus Plus program also to support such studies or such internships within Europe. If you are not embarking on a trip to the United States or Australia or Asia, I think this is more affordable on European terms, but the opportunities for global study abroad are also possible. So this is the two options that you opt for. Shall I stop here, or?
I can say something real quick if needed, and then we'll go to Matthew. So Phil basically already touched upon this. The teaching within PPE is very small scale and interdisciplinary. So here you see Akshat, one of our junior lecturers, giving an ethics seminar, which always lead to very intense discussions. So this just to show you that every time you have a lecture, afterwards you also have a seminar. Oh, I'm showing up big now. Good moment to introduce myself. I'm Michelle. I'm the Marketing Communications Officer, but also the event coordinator. So I'll be talking about that in a little bit. So what I was saying is that every lecture is followed by a seminar, which is small scale. So you're not just only receiving information whole day, but also really actively participating and in touch with your other students. And this diversity is also reflected in the assessment methods. So it's not only exams or multiple choice questions, but essays, presentations, a lot of really applied policy briefs on actual societal issues. So that's usually, what our students also really like about the assessment methods. But I would like to ask one of our students to actually say how he experiences this and how he experienced the study-life balance. So Matthew, if you could continue.
Hello everyone, a very good afternoon. My name is Matthew Guo, currently a second-year PPE student. I come from China originally, and I've been living in the Netherlands for quite some years now. I guess I shall first start with living in Amsterdam. Since half a year ago, I've moved from Hilversum, which is a surrounding city of Amsterdam, to Amsterdam. Well, I could probably tell you a lot of stories about the city, but given the time constraint, Amsterdam is a wonderful city. It's international, vibrant, and inclusive, and it will only become better and better after COVID. Life at the college. Well, our PPE community is composed of students from various countries around the globe. I've met many like-minded students. They are, in my eyes, easygoing, ambitious, and perseverant. The community itself is very cohesive. This is not only because the Bachelor is small scale and we have our own floor, including a study area, but it is also because everybody helps and is very kind to each other. You know, if you want to talk about your assignment, you are lost in a math equation, which happens sometimes, or you just want to share an interesting story, there's always someone who's willing to help you or have a chat with you. Like many of the graduated PPE students I've said, one of their cherished memories during the 3-year bachelor time is when they were studying and worked together at a study area, especially, you know, one day before a deadline or exam. I think this strong sense of cohesiveness is very unique of our bachelor PPE. I guess we can go to the next slide about Kallio PPE. Yes, Kallio PPE is the student association of our bachelor. It runs entirely by the students. Under our student association, I would say study association, we have different committees such as the academic, social, and publication committees. Of course, there are still some other, I believe from my head, you have also Excursion, the MUN, and some other associations. Aside from that, we also organize, for example, regular guest lectures, tutoring sessions, borrows, and gala. I suggest that if you want to make the best of the PPE Bachelor, you should also join Galio PPE. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matthew, for sharing your experience. Like I said, I also coordinate the events at the college, so I would just like to add on to that a little bit. This, what you see here, is the famous study area that Matthew has been talking about. So we usually call it the 4th floor because we are called the John Stuart Mill College, but it doesn't mean we have a separate building. We are in VU Amsterdam's main building in the south of Amsterdam. And in that building, you have the 4th floor, which is completely dedicated to PPE. So you never have to be stressed on where your class will be because it's always in one of the seminar rooms or lecture hall there. This is the study area where you can work in silence for most of the time. And as you can see here, then we have a coffee corner, which is more for the social aspect and chatting in between classes. And then in the seminar rooms, we do not only teach, we also have a lot of extracurricular activities. So this is an example of an event organized by one of my colleagues. But we also find it really important that PPE students are involved themselves. That's why we have a Ppe Incubator Fund. That means we have a budget reserved for student ideas. So what you see here is some students from the initiative Ppe Encounters who started a podcast during the Corona crisis because we could have less in-person events. So they started a podcast so they could continue their encounters, their interviews with experts, which I think is really nice. So if you are someone who likes to take initiative and organize events that are either more personal or more societal, this is definitely also the program for you because there's a lot of room to do that. I'll just move on and say something about life after PPE because you haven't even started yet, but maybe you're wondering, what can I do after this program? Well, it can be stressful because there's still a lot of possibilities. So this is what our alumni are doing right now. So people who finished PPE already. As you can see, a majority of them continues to do a master's immediately after their bachelor's. So 35% does a master in the Netherlands, some at VU, some at other university, and 25% do a master's abroad. These are some master programs, for example, they've been admitted to at VU. Let me go back. Yeah, so as you can see, you can do a master in one of the 3 disciplines or in something that's still interdisciplinary or combines one of the disciplines with a completely different discipline, such as law and politics of international security. So that's really where this circle is going to. Then a master abroad. PPE really opens doors for you. I don't want to just be name dropping, but some of our students have been admitted to Oxford, to Cambridge. So we are really proud of what they are achieving right now and the doors it opens. However, especially in times like these, some students decide to take a gap year first, or they say, well, that was enough classes for me for the moment. I'm first going to do another internship or some work, which is obviously also completely fine. And yeah, we just hope you continue to do what you're passionate about. Here's some careers, some career examples of things our alumni are doing right now. So as you can see, it goes from very commercial to rather political or NGOs. So everything is possible. However, I've seen in the question box that a lot of questions are already coming in about applying. So let's spend the rest of the time with our admissions officers.
Hello everyone, my name is Nike and I am the Dutch admission officer, so I mostly handle the admissions of the Dutch students that apply to PPE. However, I will be discussing the first few slides that also includes international application, but Rosa will tell you more about it later. So the applications for PPE are possible with both an international and with a Dutch diploma. For a list of international diplomas, you can find, I think, on the website. And the application is possible if you have a sufficient GPA, which is equivalent to a 7 or higher in the Dutch grading system. You have to have a sufficient English level and also a proof of sufficient proficiency in the mathematics, since that is very important in PPE, especially in the economics classes. Both the English level and the mathematics level are able to be obtained after you have applied for the program, and you get an email from us that your English or mathematics level is not up to scale. You can still do courses and tests to achieve that level, so don't worry about that yet. For the admission requirements, you can find these on screen and also on the website. For sufficient English language level, you have to have scores that are the minimal of those displayed on the screen. If they are higher than that, that's of course fine. If you have a score lower than the ones listed here, you can retake the test and hopefully it's higher so you can apply for the program. And the mathematics levels are displayed as well. And you can also do tests for mathematics in the Netherlands if you're unsure whether your level is up to scale. Then we have a video. Were we going to play that one or no?
No, due to time, we will skip it, but I can put the link later at the end. So
all right, that's great. So we'll skip it for now. And let's move on to the application procedure. Rosa, were you going to discuss this one? Okay, great.
Yes, thank you, Nike. So my name is Rosa. I am the International Student Advisor / Admissions Officer for PPE for everyone with a non-Dutch diploma. So even if you are Dutch and live abroad and have, for instance, an IB diploma, I would also be helping you. So yeah, so any international diploma goes via me, via the international office. And Nike just mentioned the admission requirements. We recommend to check the website before you apply so that you already have a bit of an idea if you're going to meet the admission requirements. When in doubt, do not hesitate to contact either Nike or me. Yeah, on the slide you can find the application procedure. So there are a few steps you need to take to get your application to us for evaluation. So the first step is to start in the national website called StudyLink. That is most likely the website you'll use for any Dutch program application. So either at VU or any other university, if you are still unsure which university you want to apply to. Then the next step is the VU specific website, which is called your VU dashboard. And in the VU dashboard, you're asked to upload specific documents that will help us to understand both your academic background, so for instance the transcript of records and the CV, but also an assessment form that poses specific questions to you that you can answer, and we use that to determine your motivation, because PPE is a selective program. So next to the admission requirements we just mentioned, we will also check for your motivation, or our admission board will check for motivation to see if you can be selected. So all the documents we base our decision on are uploaded in the dashboard. If you obtained your diploma outside of the Netherlands, you're also asked to pay an application fee of €100. And once all documents are uploaded, we will check to see if everything is in order, if we can open it, if they are the right documents. And once that is the case, we will let you know your application is complete. And then the admission board will take a look at your application and we will inform you of the decision if you are selected, not selected, but also if there are conditions for your admission, such as, for instance, that you still need to obtain your diploma with a specific GPA in order to meet the requirements if you haven't graduated yet. Or as Nike mentioned, if you still need to do a language test, or if additional mathematics test is needed in order to meet the requirements, we will all let you know in the admission decision, which we will send to you within 4 weeks if you apply before the early bird deadline, which is on the 14th of February. Then, well, if you know that you are admitted, most likely with conditions, because that's the case for most students, that they still have to graduate or send their documents to us. For international students, we then ask you to accept your offer, which is not binding, but it gives us an idea if you want to accept the offer and possibly, if needed, take the tests. And after that, you can apply for international office services such as visa and accommodation. You're asked to complete your admission by sending us the documents to prove that you meet the admission requirements, such as well, your diploma once you have it, an English language test, and if needed, mathematics certificates. Then you're asked to pay the tuition fee, which is possible in the summer. And if you're an international student, we will, of course, also help you with any practical matters, such as opening a bank account, registering at the municipality, any other information you need, such as how do I find a bike, how do I get to Amsterdam, those kind of things. Then there is the next slide. Tuition fees, of course, very important. There is a difference there based on nationality. So we will determine your tuition fee based on your passport, pretty much. So are you an EU student or EEA student? Then the top tuition fee applies to you. Ppe is a small intensive skill program, so that means that the tuition fee is higher than for any other regular program, which would be closer to 2,000 euros. For PPE, we ask 4,270 euros per year, around that. So it's an annual tuition fee. If you are studying in the Netherlands for the first time, then the Dutch government also has an arrangement that allows you to pay a slightly lower tuition fee in the first year if you meet specific requirements. So you can check the website for that to see if you meet those requirements. If you are, however, a student with a non-EU or EEA nationality, the tuition fee is unfortunately a bit higher. So make sure to check the requirements for that. Of course, if you are obligated to apply for a visa, we will help you from the international office. And unfortunately, there are not really any scholarships available for bachelor students. So if you want to know what is possible, you would have to look at either options offered by your own country or general options in the Netherlands that are not specific to VU. So for instance, the Study in Holland website is a good way to start. And I will also share a link in the chat that you can use. Then there is, well, one of the services we offer as the international office is a very important one. That is accommodation. Good to note is that the housing market in Amsterdam is very difficult. So we advise everyone to really look into the housing market before you apply. From the international office, we offer housing services for students who are not yet living in the Netherlands and have an international nationality. So Dutch nationalities unfortunately cannot make use of this service. And you can apply for housing immediately after you are conditionally admitted if you've already met the mathematics requirements. Yeah, so basically, I would always recommend to apply as soon as possible so that you are as high as possible on the accommodation list, because accommodation is offered based on a first come, first served basis. So the earlier you apply for a program, the earlier you know if you're admitted, and then you can also apply earlier for accommodation. That's pretty much the summary of it. Apply early. We offer housing in different price categories, which you can check on the website. in different locations in Amsterdam or near Amsterdam. So yeah, make sure to read the information carefully. If you apply for housing and decide to go to another university or another program, that is of course fine. Within VU you can use accommodation for different programs. So if you've also applied for international business administration, that's not connected. But if you go to another university, you can of course still cancel housing and receive the housing feedback if you cancel before the 1st of July. So that's good to keep in mind, but accommodation is very important to get secured before you come to Amsterdam to make sure that you have a house to come to when you come to the Netherlands. For Dutch students, of course, there's also specific options available, but not via VU. So you would have to arrange that yourself if you have a Dutch nationality. You can check the website for that or get in touch with our general information services so that we can send you information about what options are available. So as a general reminder, here are the deadlines. Early bird deadline is February 14th. So if you apply before that date, we try to get you the admission decision within 4 weeks after you've completed your application, or that we have let you know your application is complete, I should say. If you have a non-EU nationality, the deadline is April 1st. If you have an EU or EEA nationality, the deadline is May 1st. However, keep in mind that then the admission decision time will increase, also because we get most applications around deadline time. So that means we have to go through all these applications as fast as possible, so that results also in a longer decision time. And of course, if you want to make use of our housing services, it is also recommended to apply earlier. So as soon as you feel comfortable, have decided that you may want to join our program, I would recommend to apply. You don't need to have your English language test yet or your diploma. So as long as you have the documents ready, you can already apply. Or if you are still hesitating, do not hesitate to contact us for any questions. Then I think I will give the floor back to Michelle for the last slide.
Yes, although I think we're going to the Q&A first.
Yes, I think so too.
Okay.
Let's do that. All right. Well, thanks everyone already, and you already had a lot of information that you've seen. However, we will be going to the questions, and I will read out the questions, so they might be interesting for everybody to know. Damina was asking, tell us about the steps how to apply. I think that was actually taken care of, and the procedures steps concerning scholarships. Perhaps that, I don't know if you want something else about this.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, unfortunately at VU we don't really offer any scholarships. I will now place in the chat a link.
Yeah,
so
I will share that.
This is sort of basic information. So for instance, for US students, there are loan options to finance their studies. And if you're an EU student, for instance, there are specific possibilities that you can make use of if you work specific number of hours per month. So there are a few options, but they are very limited for bachelor's level students, unfortunately. We only offer scholarships from VU for master students.
Okay, thank you very much, Rosa. Next question from Agnes. For mathematics and English count, or are all the courses that we take? Who can answer this question? Michelle?
Nikkei again, I think.
Yeah, for the GPA, all of the courses that you've taken in your previous education that you apply with, so either high school or another education that you've had, count towards the GPA. So not only English and mathematics, also all the other courses. And we have specific requests for the level of mathematics and English. That's why we listed them separately as well, because your English has to be at least an 8 on Dutch VWO niveau. And also your mathematics has to be a specific level because the PPE program has some really intense courses that require that level of mathematics. So the GPA counts towards all courses that you've taken from your previous education.
Okay, thank you. Question from Damena asking about the supervisor. Do we need a supervisor that supports us? She's indicating, hence we request a supervisor that assists students in different areas. Can you say something about this?
I have responded to that by stating that we actually have a study advisor that all our students contact for making sure that their studies are on track. Despite some personal problems that may arise during their studies, like health problems or family problems, housing problems, and Maria keeps a good eye on the welfare of our students and is always open for discussions about what can best be done. Our seminar teachers hold tutorial meetings with our students for mentoring, and many of our teachers, together with Michelle, actually run events with a careers perspective. So I think these are different areas of support, not from one single supervisor, but actually a bunch of people that support our students across different areas of potential need that actually arise.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much, Aslim. I hope that answered that question. Next question from Sophie, asking, can you follow an international master's degree after this at the VU?
Yes, you can. So actually all the masters that I listed, you are automatically eligible for. So the great thing is also that PPE is not just a little bit of philosophy, a little bit of politics, a little bit of economics. You really have a solid base in at least 2 of the 3 disciplines, so the 2 you choose. And afterwards, you can do a master's in those disciplines. So if you choose politics and economics, you can choose from almost all political science masters and economics programs at VU, but also at other universities. So other universities in the Netherlands and abroad also recognize these study credits that you have. And if you want to, you can even do all 3 tracks. That's the honors program. But I would recommend to just focus on 2 first. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, great. I hope so too. Otherwise, let us know and we can still take care of it. Lert has a question. How does the university deal with the corona situation and how are the future plans regarding this?
Yeah, maybe Phil can answer that, and then Matthew can elaborate on how we experienced that this year.
Yeah, so it's a good question, and I mean, there. Yeah.
Are you with us, or we jump
Yes.
right away to Matthew?
I hear Phil.
Can you hear?
Okay.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Phil.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, so that's a good question. So what, as you know, everything is quite dynamic with people responding to the pandemic, universities included. However, recently, the Dutch government has really, I think, rightly emphasized the importance of in-person education, especially higher education, and so the VU has really gone to great lengths to keep in-person education going and to do so in a safe way, and so we anticipate that in a sense the prioritization that the education is getting will continue, and so we hope that, I mean, you know, and we're confident that the small scale intensive in-person educational experience will be available for the foreseeable future.
Matthew, could you maybe say how it has been for you this year?
Yes. At first, I would like to quickly go through last year. Well, I believe we we always give some priorities to the first years, meaning that they either have they will be the first one to receive, for example, lecture hall, seminar rooms, etc. So I think that will be still the case also for prospective students. Regarding this year, well, yeah, it's been like upside down. So in the beginning, it seems like everything was going to normal. Like we didn't need to wear face mask, 1.5 meter distance. These kind of rules, they were gone. But well, the cases, they have been surging again, and right now we have some new rules. But still, I think in general, it's still quite doable. We can still enjoy our study life. You can also the VU is still open even during the most difficult time last year. So I look forward to the future.
Thank you. And maybe also good to note that last year, indeed, when we only had first-year students on campus and not second and third year, that was quite unique, and we were only able to offer that because we have our own floor and we are a small-scale and intensive program. So even when other programs were teaching online, we still had some seminars on campus. So that is the advantage if you do PPE compared to another VU program, for example. But we hope that we can continue like this. But even in lockdown, we continued our events or other big-scale things, for example, online.
Okay, great. Good to hear. Thanks, both of you, for, well, all three of you actually, for these indications and explanations. Great. We go to the next question. Actually, before I go to the next question, I want to make sure, because we are rounding off on the hour soon, that we also get your feedback. So we have opened up some pollings. I see most of you have found it already, but just in case, we have opened up a couple of questions where we'd like to know a bit more about you. Basically, if you're considering to apply, if not, what might be a reason, a bit about your background, and yeah, any information to help us to see where you are considering this program. So thanks to let us know before you drop off if you have to go. Also, by the way, for the people that are watching the recording, you can participate as well. Question about, let's see, we have answered that. Giovanni asks about the math requirements. With application and interpretation SL, the International Baccalaureate, is it not possible to apply? Asking.
Yeah, well, it would still be possible to apply, but it does mean that your mathematics is not yet at required level. So if you are selected, which would depend on both your motivation, CV, and of course on if you meet the other requirements, such as the GPA requirement or are expected to meet the GPA requirement, then you can apply. And if you're selected, you would be asked to take an additional mathematics test together with your diploma, so that in total you could still meet the mathematics requirements. So you can find on our website the different mathematics tests that are available, but you can wait until you know if you're selected to actually take the test.
Okay. Thank you very much. I hope that answered the question. We're going to the next question. We have last couple of questions. Caitlin is asking, as an American, so would I have to pay 12,000 plus 16,830 euros? I think it was answered, but just to make sure.
Yes, I'm not entirely sure where the 16,000 comes from in question. Maybe I missed that. But the tuition fee is an annual fee. So you pay specifically for the tuition fee, but note that that only covers the enrollment at the university and your studies. So no extracurricular events or housing. So that would be additional costs. So keep that in mind in total for your living costs, also because if you're a non-EU student, you would have to prove of financial means when you're applying for a visa. But it would be around 12,000 something specifically for the tuition fee. And yeah, this would be an annual fee. So for 3 years, you pay that amount.
Okay, thank you very much, Rosa. Esther has a question concerning the fee. Why is it that this bachelor program is more expensive than other Dutch programs? Can you say something about this?
Yeah,
Specifics?
very good question. I can start. So, as Phil said, our program has a specific label, small scale and intensive education. So as soon as you have that, it means that you need to meet all these requirements to make sure that that is really true. So you have way more teachers and support staff per student, for example, compared to other programs. The more intense thesis trajectory, the own floor with PPE exclusive study area, and the events all contribute to this higher tuition fee. Phil, do you have anything to add, or do you think I listed all the reasons?
No, that goes. I think that goes a lot of the way to explain the higher fee. It's also the case that the program includes elements like the partnerships we made with the study abroad programs and the particular internships that are available. All those things are kind of organizational, kind of special to our program and are part of that kind of intensive and small scale product that we provide.
Yeah, and of course, teachers, professors from 3 completely different departments are all working together to offer the best education possible. And like I said, during COVID, it can have its perks to have your own floor, which gives us an advantage compared to other programs.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for that answer. Last questions. Well, Tassine is asking, which department or education do we have and can we study about them? I am not sure if that's clear, but anyone can answer this?
Shall I take that up?
Sure.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. It's not that we do departments or faculties, but actually we, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. It's not that we have departments or faculties, but actually the 3 different faculties contribute to our program. So we are just one college with one program, bachelor's, that gives education based on 3 different disciplines. And as just our colleagues also mentioned, once you graduate from PPE, you have the opportunity to do a master's in any of the 3 disciplines. So we study them in enough depth, I should say.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope that answered the question. And there's the last question I see from Manav. Manav is asking about if the bachelor degree was in English, is that enough for the proof of English?
Yeah, I guess I can answer that. If you obtained a full bachelor's degree with language of instruction English as listed on your diploma supplement, then that would be sufficient to get an exemption from the English language test.
I guess that answered that question. Great. Okay. With that, I don't see any further questions in, so we are coming to the end of this session and rounding off. Thanks everyone for joining. First of all, from my side, I'd like to thank everybody, the audience, of course. We saw people from different parts, well, in Europe, but also elsewhere joining in. Great to see, and we hope you found it useful. This session is recorded, so if you want to see parts back or you missed a part, so don't worry, you'll get the recording in your email, and also actually within a couple of minutes, if you stay online, you can even start seeing it right away from the start. So if you want to do that. And I will be dropping a couple of last links for you just to finish off. And with that, I'd like to give the last word to Michelle to round it off.
Thank you, Luke. Yeah, I just want to say I hope you enjoyed the presentation. There are 2 reminders from my side. The first one is that the early bird deadline for our program is February 14th. As Rosa said, the earlier you apply, the more help we can give you with housing. So I really recommend it. So keep that in mind. Besides that, we have multiple opportunities to talk to us or our students or get to know the program better. For example, on our website, you can sign up for a taster day. So if you're in the Netherlands or close by, you can still sign up for our taster day next Monday. You have to be quick, then you can come in person. But we also have online alternatives, such as a student for a day, where you get matched to a student and you can chat one-on-one. So have a look at our website, sign up for that, and then we hope to see you soon, and otherwise in September here at the college. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.